It's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to begin the meeting. Welcome, everyone, to the December 11th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Beacon City School District. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic to stand one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please, Vicki.
Here.
Delayed. Here. Excused.
Here. Here.
Here. Here. Thank you. Dr. Landau, would you mind reviewing the fire exits?
Yes, the exits are in the back of the LGI.
Thank you. First up, we're going to recognize Anthony Talbot, BOCES Student of the Month.
Oh.
First, thank you for allowing Duchess BOCES the opportunity to recognize one of our Salt Point Center 8th grade students. Anthony Talbot is living proof of the official definition of resilience, which is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experience. A few days before the 23-24 school year started, Anthony was involved in an accident where he sustained second and third degree burns on his body. Anthony spent over a month at Westchester County Medical Center in Valhalla, where he had surgery, skin grafting, and continues his therapies at home months later as he recovers. Anthony returned to Salt Point Center in October and has been working diligently to get back to Beacon to start 9th grade here at Beacon High School. In addition, he's not only working his way back to 100% after the burn incident, he has made tremendous progress as a student in his time at SPC. Anthony is a bright young man, and academics were not really the issue. Let's just say he was self-directed and less studious. Although I can ramble on the examples, one story that truly sticks out in my mind, making him a legend of sorts. Anthony really wanted to introduce his cat, Emily, to his classmates, and in short, pictures were not sufficient as far as he was concerned. As I was starting the arrival process at SPC one morning 3 years ago, I was radioed from the bus lot that the monitor on the Beacon bus thought that Anthony's book bag was meowing. Well, indeed it was, and Emily the cat rode the bus from Beacon to Salt Point Center. Wow. The cat was fine, and it was a very interesting phone call to Amanda, Anthony's mom. We can all laugh about it to this day, but this story is an example how when Anthony wants something, he will find a way to make it happen. Anthony has turned his grit and determination into making things happen towards learning and growing academically. He's kind, happy, and caring student. I'm lucky enough to be joined here tonight by Salt Point Center teacher Tim Sheehan, social worker Tara Urbanik, and TA Maureen Stenta. We're really proud of Anthony, and I ask that you help us congratulate Anthony on his honor, the Duchess BOCES Student of Distinction for December 2023. Okay, he doesn't want to say anything.
Congratulations, Anthony. And we're so glad that you're doing well. I think everyone in Beacon heard about your accident, and everyone's been rooting for you. So it's wonderful to meet you in person, and I admire your cat story a lot. As a cat owner
I want more of the cat story. How did it end? What happened?
I think Amanda was, what?
That is one, I've been doing this for a long time. That is one I've never heard.
I know,
Congratulations.
that's a good one.
Really
I know
big
you'll put that
honor.
passion to good use. Okay, next we have open to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to our workshops. We have 2 tonight. First up,
Can we just take one break and do we want to do where we can shake Anthony's hand and
do a
maybe
picture?
get a picture or
Yeah,
something?
that would be
And-
great.
And then you do not, the other great thing is you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah.
Anthony, if you want to come back and shake all the board members' hands, and maybe we get a picture with you and your teachers from BOCES too.
Congratulations. Good job.
I'm over here.
Great name.
Not post this or post this. It's okay.
I feel like Emily needs to be in this picture too. We'll do one with the both. Classic.
You mind taking your picture with us? That's right. You also because of that cat.
Can't do all men on one side.
All right, I'll miss that. Do the
Okay. So we have two workshops tonight. First, we're going to hear from our principal of Beacon High School, Mr. Corey Dwyer.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see you. So I have a bunch of slides here. We're not going to go through all of them, but I wanted you to have as much information as possible. So I'll just highlight some points that I think will be interesting to you, some data pieces, and then just some highlights from this year, and then talk a little bit about what we're planning for the future. So I want to start with a quick overview of some data points. So this year, as of last Monday, we were at 826 students. About 20% of our students are students with disabilities, which is slightly lower than it was last year. And we have a very slight increase in the number of English language learners. So the big data point, this is our graduation data as of August 2023. So this is the 2019 cohort. For accountability purposes, we're assessed based on the four-year graduation rate ending in August of 23. So our overall graduation rate for this past year was 90%. You see the breakdown by student ethnicity. That included the 79% graduation rate for students with disabilities. So 188 out of the 209 students in the cohort earned a high school diploma. About half of those earned advanced regent diplomas. That number is higher than it typically is. A number of students earned the special appeal on one or more exams that they were able to apply toward the advanced regent diploma. So I expect that over the next couple of years, that number might go down a little bit to what we had seen pre-pandemic. We have 8 students in the cohort who are still enrolled, so they're attending the high school for a 5th year this year. Hopefully, some, if not most of them, will graduate this June. We had one student who transferred to the approved GED program at Dutchess County BOCES. That student actually just earned their GED diploma a couple weeks ago, so that's not reflected here, but that student won't be considered a dropout, would be considered a non-completer, but did earn the GED diploma, and then we had 12 students drop out. So overall, we're happy to have been, anytime you could get to 90%, that's a good sign, so kudos to everybody who helped make that happen. This is just some data points around our Regents exams from last year. This is June 2023. Most of these numbers are fairly consistent from previous years. Our algebra numbers are a little bit lower than they were. That's mainly due because all of our 9th graders who didn't take the algebra regents in 8th grade took the algebra regents last year. In previous years, those students may have been in algebra A and B, so they might have taken the algebra regents at the end of 10th grade if they needed a little bit more support. But all of the students who hadn't taken the algebra regents before 9th grade took it last year. The rest of our math and science scores are fairly consistent from the previous year. Same with English, and then there was a little bit of an increase in U.S. history and global. according to Mr. LaFaro, this is his 40th year in the district, so I'm willing to say it goes back forever. Those are the two highest scores on the social studies Regents exam that we've had in at least the last 40 years, but for all intents and purposes, a long time. And then this is just the data, the Regents data. These are students who passed with a 65 or higher, so it does not include the students who earned between a 50 and a 64, got the special appeal, and were able to apply that score to their diploma that they're pursuing. And then this is the percentage of students who earned above a 3 on each of the AP exams. Biology, U.S. history, and English language are our 3 most popular courses. So that had the most test takers. Some of our other ones, art history, drawing, music theory in particular, had a smaller sample size. So I just want to run through very quickly here. Most of this is somewhat familiar to you, but this is just kind of an update on where we are this year in terms of the classes that we're offering, advanced and otherwise, and then a little bit about our BOCES partnership. So this is a list of our current offerings. So these are classes that we're running this year in art and music. English, one thing I would highlight here, we brought back freshman seminar, which hadn't been taught in a few years. So that's kind of like a skills-based class. So students earn half a credit for a semester-long class. We targeted about 50 ninth grade students who, based on their middle school performance, we thought could benefit from kind of a skills-based class in ninth grade. So most of those classes are team taught. They're a little bit smaller, and they focus on things like time management, organization skills, some of the foundational academic skills that students will need in order to access some of their other classes. So we brought that back this year. It's going well. We're looking to expand that a little bit next year. Our health and phys ed offerings, athletic training is a class that we haven't ran in a while. This is our first year doing it in the last couple of years. Our math classes.
How well subscribed is the financial math class?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
How well subscribed is the financial math class? Are students?
So we have I think we have 3 sections taught by 2 different teachers. So this year, with the first year that it's a full year course, in the past it had been half a year class. So students need 3 math credits in order to graduate. So for a lot of students who choose not to go on beyond geometry, that financial math class can be their 3rd credit. So it was important to us that we extended to a full year instead of half a year. So we saw many more students taking it this year. This is science. AP Environmental Science hasn't been ran in a few years. That class is going really well. We have, I think, around 17 or 18 students, and they've been doing a lot of really neat things in the community, a lot of environmental advocacy. Rachel is in that class.
Yeah, I can speak to that.
So if you have any specific questions, she is the go-to on that. Social studies. I'll talk in a little bit about how we plan to reorganize a couple of the business classes. We house our business classes under the social studies department. And then same thing with some things we're looking to do AP-wise. World language. The Italian cinema class is new this year. We hope that class will grow as more of our students who have taken Italian in the middle school move into the high school.
There's so many incredible courses here, I mean, in all the different subject areas. Do you find that over the course of 4 years, students are pretty much able to take whatever they want? Do they get to take all the classes they really want?
Yeah, that's a good question. We would like to think so. We hope so. So one of the things we've been trying to do with our electives is offer more electives, and sometimes that means offering them on like an every other year basis. Because if we can't get enough to fill, say, a full section,
Sure.
Then we might, tell students, well, you can't take that class this year, but you can take it, next year. So our goal is to be able to offer as many of those popular classes as often as possible so that students can get into them. The 9-period day helps with that. It helps with a little bit of scheduling flexibility. And then all of the 6 periods, which all of you graciously approved earlier this year, also helps because that allows us to run more sections of some of those classes that are more popular.
Okay, that's good.
And this is just a quick summary of our advanced classes. The picture that you see here is a picture of our DCC Calculus and Sargent's 5th grade students. They took a joint field trip up to DCC Ms. Lucarini, our pre-calc and calc teacher, organized that trip a couple of weeks ago. And so it was a great opportunity to expose our fifth graders to a college campus and also for our DCC calc student to actually be on the campus of DCC. So our DCC offerings are pretty similar. We're actually running the same number of sections of DCC classes this year as we did last year. The section enrollment is slightly lower, but not in any sort of significant way, which is kind of a pleasant surprise to us given the imposition of the cost for the DCC classes. I really want to thank the advocacy of everybody here. The free or reduced lunch tuition discount for DCC classes was a big help for our students. And then the donation from the Foundation for Beacon Schools allowed us to cover just under 10 students completely. And that was a really seamless process. They didn't even get billed by DCC. DCC was really good about working with us and sending the bill directly to the district. So we appreciate that. And then our AP classes, the African American Studies class, there's some familiarity here with that class. I know a couple of your students are in it. Mr. Setter is teaching it. That class is going well. That's our first year offering it. We're one of the 700 schools in the country that are piloting it in its second year. And then, like I said, we brought back environmental science this year. The other ones we've run for the past few years, at least. And these are all of the programs that at least one of our students are enrolled in at the Career and Technical Institute at Duchess Boces. So there are some new programs in there that we haven't previously seen students participate in, which we're excited about. We're going to be doing an assembly for all of our current 10th graders when we get back from winter break. So we want to expose all of our students in 10th grade to the BOCES opportunities, and hopefully, we'll see an even bigger increase. We have about 40 students who attend the Career and Technical Institute between the 11th and 12th graders this year.
And can you attend some of these classes or do some of these things without specifically seeking like a certification or a degree in that field? I mean, is it almost like an extended elective, or is it?
No, so I mean, not all of the classes, not all of these programs culminate in some kind of certificate or kind of like formal accomplishment, but in order to take any of those classes at Duchess Boces, you have to be a CTI student, so
Got it.
you have to be enrolled in one of those programs. So
Okay.
The way it works for our students is they'll indicate in the spring what program they might be interested in, and then they basically apply to Duchess Boces. It's not a particularly competitive application, they just have to express their interest in it, and then they get back to us and let us know how many of our students got their first choice, their second choice, and if any of them were waitlisted for a particular program. So cosmetology tends to be pretty popular, so not every student who wants to do cosmetology gets it, but generally by the time the summer comes to an end, all of our students who have wanted to go to CTI have been able to get one of their top choices. And then I just want to highlight a couple of other things that are a little unique and kind of special to what we're doing at the high school. So you all have seen a lot of postings going out, and you've been kind enough to approve all of them for our restorative team. So we have a couple of positions this year. As you know, Michelle Polhamus was our restorative practices coordinator on ATOSA, so full-time last year. She's now one of our restorative practices coordinators in a supplemental position. So she's gone back to her traditional school counseling role, but she and Ron Hammond are helping to lead this team that you see pictured here. This is a few teachers, social workers, other staff members who were trained over the course of 3 days in restorative practices here in the LGI over the summer by the Mediation Center of Dutchess County. And so these are our restorative practice facilitators. Michelle did a really great job last year of bringing the language of restorative practices to the high school. That's something that we are continuing to use. We've seen a lot of momentum around it. We don't like to talk out loud about the decline in student conflict because we don't want to jinx ourselves, but we have seen a lot of positive effects of that. Not just in terms of the obvious things like altercations, but general conflict or issues between students. The language of coming together, working with one another through our differences in circle is something that's become really common. One of the things that we've started this year for the first time is parent circle. So a lot of times when there is conflict between students or conflict in the community, it doesn't start or end with the students. So we've actually brought some parents together in circle with our restorative practice coordinators or facilitators and in partnership with the Mediation Center to facilitate conversations between them. We had one last week that went really well. And so I just want to kind of give a shout out to this team our social workers, Tom and Candace, and then also the Mediation Center, which has been really positive in this area. And then just a couple of highlights around civic and community engagement. We talked last year about the Seal of Civic Readiness. So we were approved by the state last year to be able to offer the Seal of Civic Readiness to students. That does two things. It's sort of a formal recognition for students on their diploma, but it's also a pathway. So it can take the place of a fifth Regents exam for students who need that in order to graduate. So it has a couple of benefits to us. Erin Hadeland and Dawn Clemens have been doing a really amazing job promoting the seal, getting our students involved in different projects, and also just general recognition around civic engagement and civic knowledge. So a couple of pictures that you see here. The first picture is of one of our students, one of our 5 students who presented at City Council last Monday. So each of them had a different idea that they presented to the city through the participatory budgeting process. So the city allocated $10,000 for basically our students to propose ideas on how they should spend it. So 5 of our students presented ideas last week at the City Council meeting. And in general, our partnership with the city has been really great. We brought in, that's another piece up here, the speaker series, the mayor, multiple council members. We had the Parks and Recreation Department here last week, which was a big hit because they bought sweatshirts as a giveaway. And some of us, myself included, were a little jealous that we did not get one. But a lot of local government officials that have been here recently. We had State Senator Wallison here last year. And so that's all been coordinated primarily by Erin Hadeland and the social studies team. One of the pictures in the corner is Mayor Kiriakou with Senin, who graduated last year. He had the idea of installing a water fountain at Memorial Park, so that's a picture of the 2 of them. And then just some other things around community engagement. Our career fair in the corner, we run that every spring. Michelle Polhemus coordinate that. And then in the left corner, bottom left corner, was the blood drive that we hosted here a couple of weeks ago. We've had a really successful year so far in terms of parent events. So the 5 sessions that you see up top are all workshops that we facilitated for parents at the beginning of the year. So we had a college admission panel that was really well attended. A financial aid night, that bottom picture there where the whole sort of front half of the cafeteria was filled with families. And that's where a representative from Dutchess's financial aid office went over the new FAFSA form, which is debuting this year. We had our counselors lead a session for 9th grade parents on how they could help their students be successful. Then we had Ms. Clemens lead a session for 11th and 12th grade families on how they can support their students in DCC classes. And then our social workers led kind of like a mental health forum with some of our community partners. So that brings us to what we're planning for this year. Hopefully on the next, at the next meeting, you'll see who we hope to appoint for each of these. So we've done a college fair for, many, many years. Michelle Polhemus has always organized that. We're rebranding it a little bit this year. We want to make it a little bit bigger, and we're going to open it up to some of the other area high schools. So we're naming it the first annual Southern Dutchess College Fair and trying to make that kind of like the premier kind of one-stop shop for college fairs in this area. Dawn Clemens and Ms. Lucarini are going to do an AP and DCC program overview. So this is specifically thinking about students who might be interested in taking AP and DCC classes next year and how their families can support them and help encourage them to get into those classes. That's also partly in response to the new law that was signed by the governor in September that requires high schools and school districts to advertise its advanced course offerings and how students can access them. We're going to be partnering with the Grace Smith House to offer an online sort of workshop for parents supporting their students around cyberbullying specifically. We're hosting for the first time a junior college night where we hope to get as many junior parents together as possible to talk to them about what the upcoming year would look like in terms of the college application process. And then a mental health resource fair where we sort of did this in the fall. We want to make it a little bit bigger, and we're hoping to be able to invite the rest of the district's families where we talk with a lot of our mental health partners and have them come here and be able to basically table and for parents to access those resources directly. We're going to record a few of those sessions. So the AP and DCC program overview and the junior college night we'll do screencastifies for. for any students, for any family that are unable to attend but still want to see the information. And then just a couple of highlights from this year. So arts and music, we had our winter concert last week. The first and third picture up there on the top row, that's our band and our chorus. The middle picture, those are our students who went to area All-State, Charlie, Jacob, August, and Jalen. Jalen was also an All-State participant, so she was recognized as one of the 275 top vocalists in the state, and she and Miss Wright went to Rochester last weekend. Vanessa Murphy, she's on the left side of the middle row. She was one of only 300 students out of 22,000 test takers worldwide to earn a perfect score on the AP drawing exam last year. So if you go into the gallery, you'll see some of her work. And she is working on the mural outside of Tom's office right over here in the C Wing. And then you'll see some pictures from some of the shows that we've done recently, including Les Mis last year. We are excited to be doing Phantom of the Opera in the spring. We were the only high school on the East Coast that were granted the rights to Phantom of the Opera. So we're excited about that, and preparations are underway. Had a great fall season. So a few of our pictures here are boys went to regional, they won the section. Our girls were section runners-up in soccer. Our girls volleyball team won the league title. And then we had a lot of other success with our other sport teams. Our football team won 2 of the last 3 games, which was a big deal. Hopefully that bodes good signs for next year. And we are in the middle of the winter season now. A lot of our home games started last week. These are the clubs that are currently running this year, and I just highlighted a few of them on the side. Last week, the Rise Up Project premiered their documentary that our students from the BSU worked on with several local filmmakers and historians. A member of our math team went to the Math League competition in Ithaca last year with Mr. Yakavone. Our mock trial team, harsher on that, placed second in the county competition last spring. Our newspaper is going really well. This past November, the Honor Society donated 2,000 items to 8 local food pantries, and then our Students for Quality organization established a thrift store, which has been featured in local media. Their grand opening is coming up. We actually have a formal space for them this year in the old security office, so if you get a chance as you're rounding the corner of the cafeteria, check that out. They've done a really nice job getting that set up. And then I just want to talk briefly about a couple of things that we're planning for next year. So these are all aligned to the strategic plan. So we tried to kind of pull out some of the things that feel really tangible and that we can work on right away. The first is expanding access to advanced courses. So one of the things we're trying to be intentional about is not just offering more advanced courses for the sake of offering more advanced courses, but to be really intentional about getting students who might not otherwise be taking those classes to enroll in them. So the AP African American Studies class is a really good example. It's a relatively small class, but about half of those students don't take any other AP or DCC classes. So that class serves as kind of an entry point for them that they might not have otherwise been interested in. And so that's kind of what we're thinking about in terms of the other classes we want to expand to. One of the things I'm talking about with Ms. Lucarini, who's our math chair, our math coordinator, is whether we can offer a DCC class like Foundation to Math. So a student who wants that 4th math credit might want to earn a college math credit here, but isn't interested in taking pre-calc. So maybe they can take a more foundational math class, still earn DCC credit, but not have to take like a pre-calc class or a stats class. So that's something that we're thinking about now over the next couple of weeks before we bring our new course proposals to the curriculum committee. We're hoping to participate in a program that Bard College offers. So they have a partnership with Dutchess County Schools in which students in 11th and 12th grade can take Bard College classes on site at Dutchess BOCES in their 11th and 12th grade years. We are going to look to fill about 5 slots with that. We got a number of students who were recommended by their counselor and by teachers for that program. They're doing an information session here at the high school next week. And so more to come there. And then we're also looking at the individual arts assessment pathway, which is another graduation pathway for students that could replace that fifth exam and give them another opportunity to earn their Regent diploma without having to pass a fifth exam. We are, Dr. Landell and I spoke with Mount St. Mary about an orientation to education course that we're hoping to offer next year. We're still kind of shopping around, thinking about whether or not we want to do that through the Mount or maybe another school as a way for students to earn college credit and be exposed to teaching as a profession. Dr. Edwards presented on the Marist Leads program earlier this semester. We hope to have that contract approved. It was just finalized on the Marist end in the last couple of days, so hopefully that is approved soon. And we're working on a mentorship program specifically with high school students and middle school students, and I hope to be able to roll that out after I connect with Mr. Soltis in the next couple of months. We're also hoping to do an elective fair. This is something that a lot of our teachers and our students have been asking for, so as we get into the course selection process in January, an opportunity for students to actually hear from the teachers who will be teaching some of the electives that they're interested in, so that they kind of know what they're getting themselves into and that we can market some of those classes. These are some of the courses that we're looking to offer next year, AP Human Geography, specifically for our 9th and 10th graders. So again, kind of an entry point, so students who are not typically taking AP classes, because most of those don't open up until students are in 11th grade. This is an opportunity for them to hopefully take a class a little bit sooner. That could also help prepare them for the classes that they'll take in 11th and 12th. Business law and sports marketing, Ms. Hammond, our business teacher, is interested in teaching those. So we're going to combine some of her current classes that have similar topics, so that way she can offer some brand new classes. We're looking at trying to do a chemistry class that's not as chemistry intensive. So Ms. Alfonso was proposing a chemistry of food class, and then Mr. Corbett, our media teacher, we plan to replace keyboarding, which we feel is a little bit outdated, with a new media class. So focusing on podcasting and some of the other neat things, streaming that he's doing already. And then community engagement involvement. I'm going to be putting together sort of like a cabinet, so student leaders who I meet with regularly to get their feedback on how things are going, their ideas for current and future years. And then one of the specific items that's mentioned in the strategic plan are transition guides for families for their students as they're entering 9th, 11th, and 12th grade. So we are working on those. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer questions.
Anybody have any questions? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Very thorough.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I just am really excited by all the offerings, and thank you for the very clear explanation of how it works. Sometimes I see all those classes and I'm like, how are they offering all of those classes every semester? But yeah, do our students?
I just want to make a comment briefly, and I'll kind of do the same thing as Corey. Like, I'm not going to speak at length about the positive changes in culture and climate in the high school. But while they're here, I want to give a huge thank you to Tom O'Neill and Candace Edwards-Allen, two assistant principals at the high school who spend just, I don't know if they had they're a step tracker. I'm sure it's well over 10,000 every day. And a lot of it is just like going around and working with kids all day and trying to, work through a lot of different issues. So thank you both for everything you do with that, along with you, Mr. Dwyer. I'm not going to forget you. But it's really been significant, and I know it was kind of understated in there, but like not only the administrators, but the teachers' willingness to really kind of throw in with our way of doing restorative practices, which I think is a way of doing it while still implementing a code of conduct that has high expectations for students, and it's been really, really great to see. And there is just a lot of hard work that goes into it on the behalf of a lot of people in the high school, and I just want to thank all of them right now, both administrators, teachers, and support staff for making that happen this year and years past.
Do our student advisors have any comments they want to?
I just had like a question for like
Yeah.
generally. So some students raised like not a concern. It was kind of just a question for the board. So I know this for the civic seal of readiness, there was a $10,000 budget provided by the city, but students were asking if there could be a budget provided by our district for a project like that. So is that a possibility?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
I think I'm maybe not as well versed in the participatory budgeting that the city has like a process of doing, but it's definitely a possibility, and I think we'd love to work with y'all on that. And so I think it could be a good project for us to work on, at least starting with the student advisors to the board to get it off the ground.
And then I am in one of those new AP classes. I'm in EP Environmental Science right now, and everyone was really nervous going into it because it's half AP Bio kids and half younger kids who have never taken an AP class. So it was like really difficult class for the teacher to learn to teach. But I'd say it's going really well. And you know, after a little bit of a transition period, like everyone, both people who want to go into college, like life sciences, like really high level bio, and those that are just coming in, it's a really good offering, and I'm really glad that they're having it this year because I feel like I've learned a lot, more than I even expected to, and everyone's been able to sort of work together a lot in that class. So I do appreciate all of that.
That's great.
That is great.
That's great to hear. Yeah.
I have one quick question. I know it's not specifically stated, but the Bard College program is kind of targeting first generation college students. I mean, maybe it's not like a requirement, but that's part of who we're looking at for that.
Yeah, Bard hopes they set a target of around 2/3 of students to come from underrepresented backgrounds or to be their first in their family to go to college. So we didn't necessarily establish that as a criteria for
Right.
the students who were recommended, but I did mention it to the teacher that those are the students that I would like them to be thinking about. So a lot of the names that we got back, that would be applicable for them.
And Bard makes the decisions on the entrance to that, right? And that's something, it's run through BOCES, it's run through BOCES Coaster, so it's,
And how does it work? They're still attending school here, but they're taking classes that are sponsored by Bard or?
Yeah, so it actually modeled after the CTI program. So the students who do that program will take their electives and their science and math classes mainly here in the morning, and then they'll take the CTI bus up to BOCES at the start of fifth period, and then they'll spend their afternoons at BOCES in their Bard College classes, which are taught by Bard College professors. And then they take the BOCES bus back to the high school at 3:45. So one of the challenges that we anticipate is that students who are really involved after school may not find it to be the program that they're most interested in because they don't get back until late afternoon, and so they would have missed that first hour and a half of practices or club meetings. So Bard kind of thinks about students who are really interested in the humanities, maybe not super involved, but like really sort of strong readers, passionate about reading and writing as like their ideal students. Students who are intending to go on to a career or a major in science, technology, math, they say this is not necessarily the program for them, which I appreciate them being really transparent about.
And so do they finish their program with a certain number of college credits?
They can earn, I believe, 28 credits from Bard over the course of the 2 years. So they take, I think, 3 classes at Bard per semester, and then they have like a couple of seminar classes.
Oh, that's huge.
John Johnson, our English coordinator, and Mark Dickinson, who teaches our AP language class, they went up to visit a few weeks ago. I had something come up here, so I wasn't able to make it, but they spoke really positively about what they saw in the classes.
and then lastly, Corey mentioned the intro to education class. It fits in beautifully with our strategic plan, but also Meredith, when we were in front of the government classes a couple of weeks ago, several different kids in different classes spoke about wanting classes about education at the high school. So it's cool to see that kind of that interest linking up with what we're trying to line up to.
Yeah.
That picture didn't make it into the PowerPoint, but it will the next one, the picture of Meredith and Matt in
That's okay.
one of our social studies classes.
I always feel the less pictures of me, the better, so I'm good.
I feel the same. But I did want to say that I had a great day in the high school a couple weeks ago with Matt, and the kids were great, and also just the environment in the hallways. You heard everyone kind of coaxing kids along and to get to their next class, but, you know, everything was very friendly and cordial, and it felt like a really nice atmosphere to be going to school in. So thank you for that. Okay, if there are no more questions, I'll
Thank you, everybody.
let Corey go. Thanks, Corey. Our next workshop is from Katie Biordi, Sargent Elementary School Principal.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, all right. So yeah, Sargent Elementary. We have been having a great time so far this school year. I'm going to start with some highlights that are new-ish for this year to align with some academic excellence stuff. We have new curriculums across the grade levels for math and science, which students are really excited about. The picture to the right is of Kim Ash's second grade class doing their first Science 21 lesson. If any of you guys have, students in elementary school, they're talking about science a lot more because this curriculum is very hands-on, very, driven to inquiry, and, the students are really enjoying working together, but, doing more of the experiments is what they really, really like. That's new for second grade this year. So those teachers are all getting ongoing training throughout the year to implement these little lessons that they do. Also, Ready Math is our new math curriculum that has a lot of hands-on components. I observed a kindergarten class the other day where the students were learning the foundational principles to shopping, and the teacher had, through Ready Math, had all these manipulatives and set up like a little store in the classroom. And it was really cool to see them engaging in, like a shopping adventure. It's little things like that they really, really like. And again, both of these, like to see the hands-on math, component in grades K through 2 has been really exciting for the kids. Some of our, we're definitely moving to a place where a lot of the curriculum is all very hands-on, so not only in science and math, but in social studies and in ELA. Foundations is a multisensory reading program that we do in K through 2, and as the students get older in grades and 3 through 5, they go very deep into ELA, and a lot of those lessons that they do are cross-curricular, which I really like to see. I have 2 short videos embedded into this presentation where I kind of wanted to bring in some of the teachers' voices into this so you can kind of hear them. And one of those videos is of our STEAM fair that we had last year. So last year we had a STEAM fair, which was like a year-long independent project that the students came up with their own idea, worked with their family at home with a little bit of guidance from their teacher. It turned out great. We didn't really know how many students were going to participate, but I think we did a good job. My building leadership team really supported this effort, and I think we did a good job of getting the students excited about it. So the end result was this really great expo where we had the students present their projects. So we don't have to watch the whole thing, but I did want to show some of the projects off because they were really great.
The idea behind the STEAM fair was, one, to get kids working on skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, time management, all of those life skills, and then also allow them to showcase creativity in the different areas of STEAM, which turned out to be amazing. So that was our original thought behind it. one of the main things they got out of it was just going through the process of coming up with an idea and then actually finding a way to bring that idea to life.
There was, I believe it was a third grader who actually had a computer program that was a game. She actually built this program to do all the things I was looking at. It was amazing. These second graders had a great idea. They worked as a team, and they were using different types of soil to grow plants, and they even tested like the nitrogen in the soil, so they were really getting like some high-tech and really valuable information.
Just knowing how to be able to plan something and then not giving up and going through the steps of actually making it happen is a skill that they'll take with them. One thing that stood out was just how many different ideas were showcased. I mean, there was kids that got into life science, and then other kids got into, like I said before, the inventions. They were made up these amazing inventions from scratch, and they created little prototypes of their invention. So just all the different ideas that they had.
There was a young man, he was 5th grade, and he has chickens, and apparently the chickens can see further behind their head, so he actually designed and made these glasses with these mirrors on them, so when you put them on, you could see behind you, which was like crazy, like having glasses where I could actually see behind me in the glasses to kind of demonstrate how it would look for a chicken. In the past, it was more like just experiments, just science experiments, and now it's like, okay, let's get into engineering. And how can you solve problems by building things and designing different things to solve problems?
I'm going to stop it there, but we are excited to kind of continue this as a tradition at Sargent, and this year we are aligning our dates to the Dutchess County Science Fair. So Dutchess County runs a county-wide science fair, and we are aligning our dates so that way we can send some students who create high quality, it's going to be tough to decide, but who create high quality science fair projects to that fair. So we, in addition to the building leadership team who kind of helped me get this application together and create some resources for families, because that was the other part, is we really wanted it to be accessible to everybody. So we did a lot of work to try to help make sure that entering something like this was available to every one of our students. We created a club component where we had 2 teachers kind of co-advise the club, and they like supported students after school. So it was the idea was that it was an extension of the school where most of the project was being worked on at home, but we did offer a component to it where students would get support that they need and the resources that they need to do it. So we're looking forward to continuing that and also using that as also that an extra space to kind of help those students who want to compete in the Dutchess County Science Fair. Along with that, over the summer, I worked closely with some of my teacher leaders to really take a hard look at our master scheduling and try to come up with a master schedule that really works to put a emphasis on our academics. You know, one of the things being new to the elementary world is there's a lot, you know, that opportunities that our kids have, which is great. But, you know, for the teachers, there's a lot of pullouts. That's kind of like a norm in elementary school. But, you know, I think there's room here for us to try to work on that, to try to make sure that our goals and the things that we want are aligned with like our master schedule. So our master schedule really should reflect, you know, the end goal of whatever it is. So if we, you know, are really trying to not interrupt our ELA and our math because we want to, you know, increase, you know, our iReady scores or our state testing data, you know, we want our master schedule to kind of reflect that. But we also want to give students the opportunity to, you know, be in chorus and in band and all the things that are fun. So along with that, I'm going to show you some data. The instructional report groups kind of come from some of the data that I'm going to show. So I, over the summer and at the beginning of the school year, when the state testing data was released, really looked at our state testing data for ELA and math. What you see here is the report, like the score report for our current 4th and 5th graders. So you'll see that most of the students fell with their performance level being in a 2 or a 3. You know, when you really look at this, third grade average performance for levels for Sargent fell slightly below the district averages, very slightly, but below the district averages and the BOCES averages, which is all the, schools in the region. Fourth grade averages fell slightly above district, but below, and above the BOCES averages. So we have a little bit of work to do, through our, constant assessing with iReady, those diagnostics. We're looking really to move the students who are in that 2 area, 2 3s. So that's really our goal. So we created, our plan of action really is to work with the teachers and also create these, what I'm calling instructional report groups, to kind of closely monitor these students' progress to try to move them. The goal, I'll get to iReady in a second, but the goal in iReady is, when we're giving these diagnostics, we want to see growth, but we also want that growth translated to the New York State assessment. So that's what I'm trying to work with teachers on right now, is kind of aligning all of that data and trying to get like a really clear picture of, how we need to align our supports too. Similar in ELA, third grade averages, performance levels, so that's whether they got a 1, 2, 3, or 4, fell slightly below district and BOCES averages. And then in fourth grade, average performance levels fell above district averages, but below the BOCES averages. So it's very slight, but, we want to strive to be the best that we can be. And we have, the information, and that part of my job really is to comb through that information and work with the teachers on it. But I would really like to see more of these like 2s move into 3s. When we look at the tools that we have, so we're assessing constantly in math and ELA through iReady. What I mentioned earlier about these instructional report groups is this is kind of where we're honing in our attention. So we really want to, yellow, what you see here is 1 grade level below, and this is the performance assessment, overall placement for the students in their first diagnostic, which was in September. So yellow is welcomed and expected. We expect them to come into the grade, not knowing, having mastery and everything that they need to know for math and ELA in that grade. But this is really where we want to focus our attention, because these are the students that we really want to make sure, get 3s on the New York State assessment. This data is easy and readily available because we're assessing constantly, whereas New York State assessment data we don't get until the next year. So again, my goal is to really work with my teachers in aligning it, right, and helping them to kind of see the translation and use iReady as a tool to kind of push those students, where we need them to be, and inform our decisions when it comes to, AIS support, our IST meetings, which is, when we see that a student is struggling, how we convene as a team to kind of help them. And then, a lot of the students who are in the red on this graph, for example, may have special education services already. So reevaluating those, looking at, how we can support them. Curriculum, obviously, is something that is important in all of that. New for the 23-24 school year, which I'm really excited about, is we sent 4 teachers over the summer to advanced training for responsive classroom. And I'm happy to say that every one of my teachers is responsive classroom trained, which was, really, really great to have that cohesive, in common language and as far as responsive classroom goes. We also, most of the elementary schools tweaked the master schedule too to allow for building-wide time for morning meeting. It's a really great way to start the day. I know you guys have heard a lot about morning meeting. We really, really like it. In 5th grade, new for this year, my 2 5th grade teachers pictured here, Ms. Forestier and Mr. Seaman, are doing department teaching. So we're giving the students in 5th grade early exposure to switching classes. It is working out really, really well. Jackie is teaching ELA. Today I watched them perform their Esperanza Rising skits, and it was really cool to see the kids in the classes kind of mixed in with each other. So it's just like another opportunity for them to not be just with their class in elementary school, which in 5th grade is a kind of a big deal. They have these bonds throughout all of elementary school, and they really want to be together. Mr. Seaman is doing most of the math, which again is really nice because when we're having conversations around data, you know, we don't have to like talk about who's in what class. You know, I can talk to Mr. Seaman, for example, about, you know, all the students struggling in math, and then we can kind of have, you know, a really good handle on it when they go to the middle school, and try to, you know, talk to the counselors or the administration there to make sure that those students, when they leave us, maintain the same level of support. Another thing that we're working on is aligning the new computer science standards, especially in 4th and 5th grade in library. So in 2020, they New York State released computer science standards, which are pretty intensive when it comes to, you know, all the things that they expect students to kind of leave high school with, but, you know, trickling all the way down to kindergarten. So I'm working with my library media specialist to kind of embed some of these things into library. So, you know, in 4th and 5th grade, you know, they still read stories, but, you know, a lot of times they're doing a lot of computer heavy stuff, you know, digital literacy, computational thinking. So understanding a little bit about coding. We're trying to align some of our after school clubs to these computer science standards too. So that's been, my library media specialist has been integral and kind of, that's Ms. Ferrara, integral and kind of changing like some of the lessons happening in 4th and 5th grade, and the kids are really, really liking it. In particular, they're learning things like how to organize their Google Drive, you know, check their email, write emails, keyboarding, all that stuff. And one of their assignments was to send an email to the principal, which is really cool, but does send a lot of emails to the principal. So you have like 40 emails. You know, and a lot of the things I got emails about came up in Dr. Landell's, you know, roundtable discussion with students, a lot of stuff about recess equipment, as you would imagine. I would have thought cafeteria food, but it was recess equipment. Another exciting thing that we have new for this year is a dedicated classroom for a science lab. So along with the Science 21 program that I mentioned earlier in the presentation, the Science 21 basically sends these science kits, and we now do it in grades 2 through 5, so there's a lot of kits coming in and out of the school. And in those kits is the resources that the students need to do their experiments. And we decided to house all that stuff in one dedicated space, and we, you know, kind of stocked up that science lab with a lot of tools. So that way the teachers, one of the issues with the kits coming sometimes is like, you know, the teachers want to go through the stuff before they teach it. The timing of it isn't always great. So we kind of made a list of some of the stuff that came in the kits last year and kind of stocked it up so the teachers had a little bit more freedom with, you know, setting up for their activities and, you know, making sure that it, you know, runs really well. And the science lab has been really, really cool. So even kindergarten is going into this like dedicated space for a science lab. And it's been exciting for the kids to kind of do that. And the teachers really like it. You know, it was one of those things like coming from secondary to elementary, I didn't really realize all the work that goes into, we know all the work that goes into setting up an experiment, but when you have to kind of keep the kids to the side of the room to make sure they don't touch it while you're setting it up because you don't have a space to do it, it was like a no-brainer that we had to figure this out. Because that's the goal, is to try to create more opportunities for this to happen, right? So if the barrier to a teacher doing a fun science lesson is they don't have a space to do it in their classroom, that was one that we had to eliminate. So it's working out really nice. You know, I'm always pushing the teachers to do cross-curricular projects, so it's really nice to see when, you know, social studies and ELA are aligning and the students can go deeper into, you know, a project. And then the special areas have been really great with working with those teachers and kind of bringing, you know, what they're doing in those subject areas into the special. One example of that is my 4th graders are reading the book Eagle Song right now. They're also learning about Native Americans in ELA, and they're doing like an extension activity in art all around the book. So I really am pushing them to do more of this because I think that, especially at the elementary level, these like deeper, more intensive, you know, curriculum projects is where they're going to get the most out of it. And then lastly, this is where my second video comes in. We started this year, and actually just a month ago, started a new building-wide character education program called the Positivity Project, which I'm really excited about, and the staff has really been amazing with implementing. The character education program is basically there's 24 character traits that are aligned with positive psychology, and this program was founded by 2 West Point cadets, and it fits perfectly into Responsive Classroom. It takes 10 minutes a day, and there's a different trait a week. And what we're doing basically is explicitly teaching character. So out of all the programs I've seen, this is, I think, the best. It's so down to earth, and I'm already seeing, it's kind of amazing. I'm already seeing little bits of it, like working. I had a conversation with a student in my office today after having a little like back and forth with a teacher, and he brought it up to me. He said to me, you know, this week's trait is helping others when they struggle. So shouldn't they, you know, he had a very, you know, strong opinion about, you know, why he's right and the adult in the situation was not. And he was connecting it back to what he learned in the Positivity Project lesson of the day. The teachers have the flexibility to like work it into their day whenever they want. A lot of them are doing it in the message portion of morning meeting, but some of them are also doing it like in the afternoon as like a closing activity. I've been around to see everybody, and it's really great. So I have a little video that it's just like a little example of a Positivity Project lesson, but we kicked off the implementation of this with a school-wide morning meeting. Shout out to Matt, he gave me this idea from one of his previous schools. But this was really awesome. So I like kind of explained to the school that we're starting this partnership with the Positivity Project, and we brought the whole school together, and we did all the components of a morning meeting as a whole school. And the kids shared, all 300 of them shared, all 300 of them did an activity, all 300 of them, you know, heard my message and did a greeting. It was really awesome. And my message obviously was that we were gonna, you know, start this journey where we were gonna explicitly teach character, and it was really cool.
What does kindness mean to you? Just give me a couple of things. What is like a quick definition of kindness?
Kindness means to me like being generous and thoughtful and respectful and helping others, just doing simple acts.
Awesome, I love it. What else? Anyone else? Quick definition of kindness. That was awesome. Anyone want to add to it? What's kindness mean to you? Yeah, it can be very small, what we're focusing on, right? Happy behavior, I love it. To go with that, what stories have we learned about this week so far in the Positivity Project? There was a couple of videos we watched this week. Who did we learn about, and what did they do to show kindness? And then we'll connect it to what we can do. Sabine.
I don't remember the name, but I'm gonna go
9-year-old girl. And how did that show kindness?
She was giving them things that they might need, and she was showing that she felt that.
Awesome. Those were things that we learned directly from the Positivity Project lessons. What are some things, we talked about how it can be very small. What are some things that we have done so far? We did something yesterday where you made parts. What are some of the things that we've done just within our small classroom to show kindness? And then what did you get to do?
We got to deliver them.
Great. So then what we did was, my question today was to extend it even further, right? How can we now show first-rate kindness throughout our school? And you came up with some ways that we can do that. Katie, you said by being respectful to others or just showing them that you care. One way to be kind. Awesome. And you said you can spread kindness by giving someone a compliment or just like helping them. Awesome.
Someone has done for you. So today we're going to do kind things that you can say to somebody else. So what are some kind things you can say to somebody? What do you think? Browning? Good job. Good job, right? Could you tell them good job about something like specific that they did? Like, good job Thanks for being a great friend. Jackson?
Thank you for being my good friend. You're beautiful. You are doing a good thing. Good job.
And now there's no issues at Sargent. I'm kidding. This is, obviously a really amazing program. And the purpose of it, we are hoping that it plays a role in just, continuing to make our school culture great. But what it really does is gives us a common language when things do come up to mitigate those issues. All the teachers in my building were trained and in the Positivity Project, and I trained the teaching assistants and the aides and monitors myself. And it's really, a work in progress, but, we only started this, we kicked it off the day before Thanksgiving break with the school-wide morning meeting. We've done 3 traits so far. We've done gratefulness. We've done kindness. These videos were just from last week, and this week is Other People Mindset, helping others when they struggle. So we're going to continue with that trait a week. What is really awesome about this program is there's also a family component. There's a P2 for families. So in a lot of my messaging and the newsletters, there's videos and stuff that parents can do with their child, and it's very simple. It's a quote, a video if you want, and then like a little talking point, and all centered around the 24 character traits. And they're not character traits that we weren't already talking about. It's just kind of putting it into this like system that we can all kind of get behind, and again create that common language in the building for just kind of making sure kids are being the best that they can be. We always are looking for ways to recognize kids, so we kind of aligned our star of the week to these character traits. So we didn't really have to change much. We just, started to kind of make the criteria aligned with the traits that the students have learned. So pictured here is last week's stars of the week. Also, here are some of the projects that were in the video, and these are all not necessary things. Like the program doesn't say now you have to do a project. It's all of this stuff was kind of student driven through the lessons. They're kind of like, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this to make the school better? So it was really cool to see. Moving into some other stuff. Each month we also do, my equity team does a book of the month. So where I go into different classes and I read a story just to bring, to celebrate, culture, to celebrate, different themes. Last month, I went into all the classes and I read Mr. Lincoln's Way, which was a book about a principal who, wants to connect with a student. It kind of had a bullying theme to it. We did that for October, which was Bullying Prevention Month. We're also last year, we did a complete overhaul and expanded our club offerings a ton. So thank you to the board for allowing us to do that. The students in the elementary level love clubs, and we literally can't create enough. I started using Family ID, which is a software that the district pays for mostly for modified sports and for, the upper level. But through using it with the summer enrichment program, I decided to kind of use it for clubs just to really track and have a better handle on registering for clubs. And, it has a waitlist feature. So we're really trying to understand what the kids want so that we can offer exactly, the things that they want to see. So some new clubs for this year. Again, we implemented a lot of new ones last year, but this year on top of it, we added drama, coding, a Spanish club, a mindfulness club, and a game board club. Our elementary drama club already has 10 students on the wait list, and we have 25 spots in it. So, that I know like the Beacon Players has a younger company, but that is really, I wasn't surprised, but, I was, the deadline to register isn't until January. So I'm starting to try to figure out ways that we can, make this work. Field trips, we've are always trying to come up with different things to engage students in an extension of their curriculum. Last year, we worked really hard to kind of align those field trips and make sure it was equitable across the grade levels, that, the teachers were given the opportunity to like take their students on a trip to where they wanted to go, and, that I was able to kind of fund it. And we wanted to make sure that every grade was going somewhere, and that was meaningful. We had, so now we're at a place where every grade is going on 2 like pretty good trips, like usually one in the fall and one in the spring. But that's not limited to, just 2. A lot of the trips are local, which are really awesome. We sent our 4th grade on the Clearwater already. We've done a lot of trips to Stony Kill. We're working on one with the Storm King Art Center. It's just been really awesome. I feel like every day somebody's going out on a bus, and I love that. We have some cool assemblies lined up for the school year. In February, we're bringing in an author. Her name is Nina Cruz. She's written a bunch of children's books, and my art department is working already with her on an extension project based on her book Snowball. And so she's going to be doing like an author assembly with the students, but then smaller workshops with our 4th and 5th graders. We did something like that last year and it was really successful. We brought in Andrea Perez, who wrote the book Fred and Eddie, and so that's something I want to continue doing each year, trying to bring in like a local author, because the kids really, really liked it. That goes along with guest speakers. Another opportunity that I'm working on right now is a before school program. So I've been having some conversations with Healthy Kids. They have a before school, like a before care kind of program, that's in the very, very early stages. But one of the things that I've seen is when we offer morning clubs, they're always full, and parents really want to drop their kids off to school early, which, I'm fine with, but we want that time to be constructive. So, there's only so many before school clubs we can offer. And I think with like this, how successful the after school program is, I think, this could be another opportunity to kind of help, like, especially our needier kids, have some like more contact time with school before school, especially if there's a need there for like before care. And then as Corey mentioned, totally open to any collaboration possible with the high school. The trip to DCC was awesome. Again, shout out to Miss Luke for organizing that trip. My 5th grade teachers loved it, and want more of it. We also have a high school student who's interning right now for our morning news. So Mia Nelson has been coming every day to our school, and she helps our morning news crew, just come up with different ideas for like making our little before school morning news show like really cool and creative. And then as far as community engagement, this is a lot, but I'll just go through it kind of quickly. Last year, we did a lot of new things as far as like community engagement. We kind of created like a system of communicating with families that I think was pretty well received. We have a school newsletter, the Sunday Scoop. We really tried to update the website and make the website like the hub and the place to go where there wasn't outdated information. So, in a lot of my stuff, I always circle it back to the website, and we have like a day cycle calendar available for parents on the website. The clubs, since there are so many clubs, we need a way to like organize who goes when. So my clerical staff does an awesome job with making sure that's like up to date all the time. We also do old-fashioned backpack letters because there's nothing better than that. And, direct communication when things come up. We established a student leadership team last year, which has helped me with a ton of events. It's made up of 4th and 5th graders who like do a little application. I discuss with them like the core values of the school, and they kind of explain to me why they think they, should be a student leader. And that's really what I want out of this group, is them to kind of have some ownership over the decisions that are being made in the building, which they love, and they love to help. We started a school newspaper last year that is adorable. So if you ever get a chance to read the Sergeant Gazette, we post that on the website every time an edition comes out. That club has students in kindergarten through 5th grade. So we have like a junior reporter section where they draw pictures and comics. It's a really good reflection of the whole entire school. And we had our 28th annual Senior Citizen Thanksgiving Luncheon happen in November, which is always a great event. We had 90 attendees, and our 5th graders are, again, really helpful in that, serving the community. They love it. We plan to do our family resource night again. So last year we brought in a lot of, outside groups, but a lot of my teachers did presentations on a whole bunch of various topics. And the whole point is really to just kind of connect families with like resources, and also have a night focused on academics in, a lot of the things that we do at the elementary level, family fun nights, open house. A lot of it is very like either geared towards your students' routine or just like kind of just for fun. So I really wanted to bring like an academic level component to like kind of parent education, so especially at the elementary level, parents are so involved with helping their student at home with their work, right? So we want, when they're learning how to read and write in school, we want the parent to use the same lingo, plain line, when they're learning how to like form their letters. Like we want all that lingo to be cohesive. So, so that's kind of the purpose of that. And we plan to do that again. STEAM Fair, I already mentioned. Also, one of my goals for last year was to try to increase teacher attendance at my PTO meetings. A lot of the things that came up, at the meetings were kind of happening, and I really wanted to kind of give the teachers the voice to kind of share that stuff more. And my staff is amazing, so of course they come, and it's been really cool to see. We had a mystery reader program through the month of March last year, where Marie came and read, Matt came and read. A lot of people come. So this year, I'd love to have some board members come. So I'll extend the invite. But that was really awesome. We even had some Beacon police officers come and read, some firefighters come read. Just it was open invitation. Anybody who wants to come read to the classes after they're raptured can do it, which was really awesome. And then we had 2 orientations for kindergarten. We did one in the spring and one in the summer. The spring one was geared towards just parents, and then the summer one brought the students in, and that was, really good to try to support the families in their transition to kindergarten. New for this year, we started these special person breakfasts, which have been really fun. So the picture that I have here is our first one we had. It was for kindergarten and 1st graders. So we simply just opened up school a half hour early, and we invited students to bring one special person in and eat breakfast. And our food service staff catered the event. The art department worked with the kids to color these placemats to make it like nice and fun for the family. And it was really cool to meet their aunts, their grandmothers, all different members of the family, whoever they wanted to bring. So we're going to do these for every grade level. And it's been a really nice informal way to kind of just connect. So it's been really cool. I talked about the P2 for Families component to the Positivity Project, but I'm hoping to, run a session about that at Family Resource Night and kind of dive into the resources there. And then along with the Positivity Project, we're going to start another assembly to recognize kids. So as we give students Star of the Week based on the character trait, I'm going to have a little assembly where their parents come in and we kind of recognize them, in front of their parents for their participation and achievement in the Positivity Project. And then the last thing is the elementary art show. We're working on, myself and the other elementary school principals are working with the district art department to have an elementary art show, which would go over on a whole weekend. We're still working on the details of it, but I think that this would be something really awesome to showcase all the great work that's done in elementary art, and another opportunity to have people come in and see the great stuff that our schools are doing, which is the whole purpose of community engagement. that's it.
Amazing. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Just wanted to say something. Everyone at the high school loved the DCC trip, and some of the kids were asking if we could do just like a welcome to high school type thing, because high school is like a lot closer than college for them. So they were just like, can we bring them out to the high school and show them like a day in high school?
I love that idea.
I was just
Take the whole buddy program to the next
Food for
level.
thought. Might be too tough. Too many kids in the hallways.
You're talking about fifth graders spending the day at the high school?
Yeah, possibly.
I think we can do
it.
that.
Tom started chewing his gum a little quicker.
I think there's room for something like that for sure. I think Mr. Dwyer and I can be creative. You know, we were lucky enough to be the school that got to go. So I know that Mr. Dwyer is looking at, you know, creating these opportunities for the other elementary school students too. The reason we were the school that got to go is we have the smallest fifth grade class. It just kind of came down to numbers. So, you know, I think we could all kind of work together to, you know, come up with ways that even like the bigger fifth grade classes can go and even like sustain these things. But, you know, I like the ideas of just like even these not so grand, you know, trips, like just even these little things where we can kind of get the kids mixed together.
I just wanted to say that every time you talk about the stuff that's going on at Sargent and do one of these presentations, I'm always like, oh, I hope they start doing that at all the elementary schools. It's very inspiring, and I think you've created a great model for giving kids special experiences. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Great presentation. Thank you so much, Katie.
Oh, thanks. All right.
Okay, next we have comments from our student representatives to the board. We already heard from you guys a little bit, but is there anything else you want to say? It's the last meeting before the end of the year, so resolutions or...
I just loved both of those presentations because Sargent was my school. I went to Sargent for 7 years, and then I'm in high school now, so just seeing both of those together. And you mentioned the Esperanza Rising skits. I can still reenact that, actually. So I just remember having so much fun doing that and, like, science fair stuff. Like, I actually remember that. So it's just, like, to see it all still happening and, you know, getting better and better. I just love to see it. So I'm very excited. Yeah.
Well, we'll let you do the Esperanza Rising skit next time, Rachel, so you can brush up. Make sure you have it perfect.
Politely decline.
Harsh, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I said a lot today.
You're good. Okay. Alejandra?
It's all right.
Yeah. Are you guys finishing up with applications and?
Yeah. Decisions and stuff come out now.
Yeah.
So, a little scary.
Waiting patiently or anxiously?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed for you guys. Yeah. Okay, reviewing the agenda. There is one change. What number is this? Sorry. This is from instructional, right? Yeah. 12. Okay, sorry, I have to go back to my thing. 12 point, is this from 01? Sorry, it doesn't have a, hang on, sorry, I'm just going back and forth between my, do you know what number it's from, Vicki?
Yeah.
Is it 18? No.
1202B3.
1202B3, okay. Thank you.
And the other one is
Yeah.
12.20.
W. Gotcha, okay. Those are the changes to the agenda. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
First, just thank you both to Corey and Katie for those great presentations. since they were such great presentations, I'm going to just be really brief with my remarks. But we have some great news to share and a quick update. So the great news to share is Beacon starting, when do we come back from break? I should know this, January 3rd? So what? 3rd. Starting January 3rd, Beacon City School District will be able to offer free meals for all students, both breakfast, lunch. So thank you to Karen Pagano and her team and all the food service folks at each of our schools, because they're going to have some increased traffic. But starting right after winter break, we're going to announce this to the community probably tomorrow or Wednesday, and just kind of keep reminding people as well. But yeah, free meals is part of the change in the law, and Beacon, now qualifies. So Karen still had to put a proposal together and an application to get it approved. We already have a large number of our students accessing the meals, so our hope is that this still increases it further. Especially, we're kind of looking at breakfast at a lot of the schools as being a key thing that we could maybe increase access to. But anyway, we're really excited to be announcing this, and I was excited to share it tonight. The second thing is just an update, because we're still in the learning about it phase, but we may remember back to May that one of the propositions the community passed was, the purchase of an electric bus with, a grant-funded offset to the price. So there's been earlier this year, there was a couple of grants released that Beacon was not considered a high, we were not a high priority district for some different reasons. There's a new grant out now that's really more of a first come, first serve. So we're learning more about that this week, I think, in a webinar. So we'll be able to have a more full report to the board at the first meeting in January. But, that has not gone to the back burner. We're just trying to get the right grant to get that started. And then lastly, Katie mentioned it briefly in her presentation, but I'm in the midst of doing student roundtables, and those really take place over, not all in the next week, but over January and even into February. I meet with 5th graders from each school, 6th graders, 7th, 8th, all the way through 12th grade. At the high school, I asked the principals to put together a group of students just really with diverse viewpoints about things. And, try to just ask them questions about their experiences here in school and ways we could work on improving. And this year, just want to thank, I know y'all board members are super busy, and it's hard to come in the middle of the school day, but thanks to Eric and Meredith who were able to come to some of these the past week. And I'll put the schedule back out to the board again, just as a reminder, because you might, if you have a free moment on any of those days, it's really welcome to have you join. And they're super informal conversations, and it's just a nice time to kind of, talk. So, and thanks to the principals for getting this set up. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Board comments. Semra?
Just thanks to Corey and Catherine for your great presentations. The classes look amazing. I want to take all of them, except maybe calculus again. And I really appreciate your attention to mental health, positivity, those interpersonal relationships between students, which I think is going to, improve any school climate. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Eunice?
Yes, I also want to thank Mr. Dwyer and Ms. Biordi for the presentation. It's exciting to hear what's going on, and almost makes me jealous. My kids aren't little and attending Sargent anymore. But I think that they would have enjoyed it, and I would have enjoyed all of those things. But thank you for the presentations. And I also wanted to just congratulate the students who were involved in the Rise Up project. I did attend and watch the lines of demarcation, and it was quite interesting. I would encourage everybody to go watch it. It was impressive that they put that together. So I just wanted to say that. Thanks.
Yeah, there's talk of screening that here. I think
they did such a. They did
I don't
a great
know.
job putting that
Yeah,
together.
I wasn't able to attend, but it sounded great. My husband went, and
to see him.
I'm hoping that we'll put it up here so that I can see it.
I think that would be
'Cause
great.
it's not
for
really
everybody else to
available
watch it.
otherwise, like you can,
Yeah,
there's not like a
I was
YouTube
gonna
link or
ask
anything.
about that. I wasn't sure if it was something that's available for even the students to watch at
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But thank you. That was it.
I think they're trying to put it on Vimeo. No?
Okay.
Are they trained?
And then I know we've had a little bit of conversation about, Corey's been talking about ways to get more high school kids to see it.
Yeah.
Kind of in 2024, so.
Yes. Okay.
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, great presentations tonight. I thought they were really thorough. You guys did an excellent job. I wanted to mention, I did attend the student roundtables, and if you do have a chance to go, they're definitely worth it. I know they're during the school day, and that might be difficult for some. It's great to hear from the students. They have really great perspectives on a lot of different things. The one thing I picked up on was the Science 21, which I think Katie had mentioned. You know, science has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat in the elementary school with, you know, with math and ELA. But the way this, the approach here is great. The students seem to really, really enjoy it, both at Sargent and at Glenham, and it was nice to hear. I also attended the curriculum committee about 2 weeks ago with Saggy. She did a great job of going through the new graduation requirements. Good discussions with the high school group, or with the high school and middle school group. And they also debriefed from their PD day, which was great. And I also happened to see Aaron Hadelin's group. They did the participatory budgeting, which was awesome. All of the projects were so different, and they all were definitely something that could enhance the city. So I thought it was really, really well done. And I don't know, it's going to be tough to make a decision of which they're going to choose, because they all were all over, just different things that I think could really, really be great for the city. So just a lot of good things going on, and, you know, thank you.
Thank you. Anthony?
Just want to say same sentiments about the presentations. Good job. I love to see that there was a financial math course on the offerings. There was an article recently in the Times Herald Record. New York State got a B for offering financial literacy. The reason why it wasn't an A is because it's not mandatory. Looking at our curriculum here at the high school, I noticed that we do offer it in the financial math, but also in our economics classes is a large amount, as well as our business classes. Something that I think is great is going through the FAFSA, the new FAFSA here. Financial literacy is so important for the students to know how their taxes are, what their student loans will look like, and making life decisions. So I just can't think it shouldn't be neglected. And I do agree that I would love to see it, that it would be a mandatory course. It just has so many life aspects.
Thanks. Flora?
I think there, piggybacking off of what you said, I think there is talk in New York State of making financial literacy course mandatory in high school for graduation. I think there's a Blue Ribbon Commission or something that they're trying to add that as a requirement for graduation.
Not yet. I know it's been talked about.
It's in the, like, I think they would add it in, like, next year. They're talking about, like, finalizing it next year or something as a requirement. So I don't know if it will happen, but it's definitely being talked about, so that's exciting. I wanted to talk briefly about the Dutchess County School Board Association's Advocacy Committee group. We had our first in-person meeting last week, and we have decided to make this a formal group. We had 25 people show up from across many, many Dutchess County districts. I think almost every district was represented, including BOCES. And we came up with, we sort of workshopped how we wanted things to, the process to work, and we came up with 5 different issue groups. So these are the issues that we want to focus on this year. And we had 3 to 6 participants sign up in each group. And they are going to conduct their work separately. They're going to have calls. They'll do an email thread and Google Docs. And basically, the way that we put the group resolutions together last year, they're going to do that same advocacy work using the same process. So because these are small groups, it's easier for them to set aside time to talk to each other and to coordinate. the 5 issues that we are focusing on, and this is just sort of the initial work that we're doing. And if people chime in and say, hey, I really think we should be focusing on X and Y this year, we can form other working groups around it. But the ones that we came up with during the meeting were how to best connect with legislators. And we're also piggybacking on that and talking about what other organizations should we be collaborating with to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts. And this includes NYSBA. It also includes Lower Hudson Education Coalition. But also, for each issue, there are unique groups of stakeholder organizations that also might be interested in educating those groups and working with those groups to help make them better advocates. So different groups can come up with different organizations that they're going to work with. The other issues are more sort of immediate, like things affecting school districts. So we've got electric school buses, which was a big one, raising the aidable salary cap for CTE instructors, school security costs, which made it onto the roster, and mental health supports for students and staff. So like I said, we have 3 to 6 participants in each group. People are starting this month to put together their working groups via their email threads. And the things that these groups are going to produce include talking points so that we can be good advocates with our legislators, especially for things like the lobby day in February, and then things that they can also bring back to their BOEs, and they can sign on to advocacy statements. They can share it with their PTOs, and they can have letter writing campaigns that way. And then it sort of culminates at the end of the year with any resolutions that we decide we want to draft and sign on to together. Another big thing that we talked about is that as a committee, it's really our job to take whatever work that is produced by these different groups and to bring it back to the boards and to talk to the boards and get sign-on for it, because we can't make any decisions as representatives in those groups without sign-on from the boards. So we're trying to make sure that we've started this calendar, so we're trying to make sure that instead of the way we did things in a sort of rushed way last year, we have like our deadlines on a horizon, so we know, okay, we need to be done with this by this time so that we can start talking to our boards for a couple of weeks, and then everybody's on the same page, and then we can start producing the information. So it was really a great night, even though I did have to, as soon as I pulled up into the parking lot of BOCES, my son texted me to let me know that his clarinet was in the back seat, and he had the concert was that night. And so I like jetted back and got him his clarinet like 20 minutes before the performance.
Wow.
But we still managed to have a good meeting, even though I was late. And I'm just excited that so many people signed on, and that I think many hands are going to make light work this year, and we're going to have a lot of advocacy material to work with. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Just a couple things I wanted to remind, since this is the last meeting before January, I wanted to remind board members that both of our meetings in January start at 6, because we'll be meeting with law firms. One on when are the meetings in January? One on the 8th at 6 o'clock, so we could probably have exec at 6:30 that night, because it'll just be a half-hour meeting with Gervin, and then Bond, Schoenig, and King at 6 on the 22nd, and Thomas Drohan at 6:30 on the 22nd. And also, our board retreat is on the 24th, so please mark those dates. And then I also I checked in with Vicki today about the status of the election machines for our ballot machines for our upcoming election. And currently, the county is not supplying us with machines, which has happened once before, and I guess we did paper ballots. And the downside of that is it just takes a lot longer. It's more staffing, and we don't necessarily get the results from the election that night. So Vicki checked in with the other district clerks for the county, and everyone seemed to think that if we did write a letter, everyone would sign from every district saying, please reconsider this. So I felt that this is something we could do over email. I'm happy to try to get a draft going, and we can share it through Dutchess County School Board Association.
That'd be
great.
And
Get some
just to point out, Orange County and Ulster
in the same situation.
do allow their
Oh,
districts
they
to
are.
use the machines.
Even the,
And all of Dutchess, this is for all of Dutchess.
Yeah.
So,
She's over in Ulster, and she said, she was like, what do you mean you're not getting machines? And I was like, Dutchess said they're not gonna turn them around for us.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so I was like freaking out last week, and I woke up and I'm like, I'm gonna call in CSL rent me a machine. I would go down to one machine per polling spot if I needed to in order to.
Oh, from Ulster.
And it sounded like they were gonna entertain it, and I was so excited. I was like, they're gonna do it.
Right.
It was like,
No.
and I called back on Thursday, and they're like, we use Star machines, and no one in Dutchess is even trained on them, and they have to work in your county, and
Right.
the Board of Elections in Dutchess is not even. They're like no. It's like a hard no. They won't even like think about it.
Yeah, I think we'll put a letter together and hopefully everyone will sign on to it, because it's,
Everyone was super responding, like Wappingers. And
Yeah.
Millbrook. Millbrook always uses paper ballots, and she's like, I spoke to my soup and my board president, and they were like, do it, we'll support.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. Okay, so do you have a sense of, I mean, I guess as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
give them something to think about.
Okay. I'll probably touch base with you on Friday on wording and stuff. And then the other thing is, I emailed everyone today a sample code of ethics that I'd like to put on one of the agendas in January. This is something that comes up for me every year when we're doing our board self-evaluation, because it always asks us if we've done it. And so I think it's assumed by NYSBA that we do it. We've never done it. I'd like it to actually then be part of our reorg, but I'd like to just throw it in there in January if possible. And that's it for me. We don't have any new business or old business, so moving on to the consent agenda. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry, you guys, we didn't do an exec tonight, so.
I just gave them the.
Yeah.
For the duration.
Good night. Have a good winter break. The use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. Are there any items that any board members would like to uphold from the agenda? Hearing none. Can I have a motion to approve 11.01 through 1508?
So moved. Second?
Motion by Eunice, second by Flora. Comments or questions?
I just had a question. There was a bunch of ones that had like amended appointments.
Is that in the non-instructional?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it
12,
was,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we haven't used that wording before, but it's I mean, what is your question, to make sure I understand what you're,
Like, what happened? Why did we have to amend?
do you mean the 13.02?
12.18.
Oh,
Some of our faculty decided to take the remainder of the year off because they had babies, so we just amended their leave replacements to the end of the year.
Is the bold, is what's being amended?
Yes.
So like it was the beginning, like, that looks like it was September.
I'm sorry, Anthony, which one is it, 12?
I saw a bunch of amended appointments from previous board meetings.
it's
And I was just wondering.
12.18.
But then I was listening to what you said about like it was to the end of the year, which I understand. There were some of them that were later on that I saw that for, but then there were some that were earlier, like the first date.
So the first date was a change. It was originally appointed, and the due date of the teacher was incorrect. So we corrected that one on the first.
Got it.
Let me see the other. I believe that the Forrester one also was the same.
Okay.
And then you'll see the other two are the end,
Mm-hmm.
the last two. The change there.
Okay.
Good. Okay, any other comments or questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? I'm also in favor, it passes 6-0. Can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session, and the board does not expect to take action?
So moved.
Motion by Flora.
Second.
Second by Eunice. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm also in favor, passes 6-0.